Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out People of Reddit. Story 1. There is an app for that. I'm not the first to do this, but I greatly enjoy it. My partner is, like most, conversational in technology. They understand it enough to use it but not enough to put it to work. In this instance, my girlfriend doesn't understand that Roku's remote syncs over Wi-Fi and not over infrared, nor does she grasp the Roku app's usefulness. With a kid in the house, the Roku app is a gift, giving me a remote no matter where the physical one is. Knowing this, whenever my girlfriend and I get into a fight, and she won't give up her anger in an appropriate amount of time, I like to wait until she settles down into the couch with her favorite snack and shows and click it back to the home screen from the Roku app at intermittent times. I can hear her get annoyed and start arguing with the TV from whatever room I am in until she finally gives in and asks for help. A quick restart of the stick, and we are back to talking. Story 2. Get my job, get no help from me. Years ago I was working for a government department for a few years in the public service. I was receiving and distributing classified cables. I was working in a small secure room with 3 telex operators. I was a clerical assistant 1, acting in a CA3 position. I had started getting help from one of the telex girls. We'll call her Griselda. I was in the position for about 18 months, and they finally decided to make it a permanent CA3 position, and advertised it. The only problem was, nobody knew much about the job except me. So they made a general list of questions, and for specifics, they asked the telex operators. I've gone for the job, along with a couple of other people, including Griselda. During the interview, one of the questions was, how do you send a telex? My answer was, that's not part of my job. Telexes are sent by telex operators. I had never sent one in my entire time doing cables. Of course, when Griselda went for her interview, she answered perfectly, and, as a result, she got the job. I was a tad snaky about it for a while. But I got over it quite quickly, when, on her first day in the position, she came to ask me where she should be sending various cables. My answer, of course, was, you got the job, so you work it out. She went to the head of our department to complain, and he came down to have a go at me, but I refused to help her. Being the pubies, I could have appealed the decision and probably got the job after that, but being the bloody-minded little prick I was back then, it was far more gratifying to see her fucking up on a daily basis, e.g. immediate cables being delivered 2 days late, and going to wrong departments. 4 months afterwards, I had people coming to me and complaining about Griselda getting the job. Made me so happy. Story 3. Can you turn down the vulgar music? I, 60M, work in a manufacturing facility. I do maintenance. While I was installing a new piece of equipment, one of the production employees, 26M, thought that his music needed to be heard everywhere. After a couple of hours I asked if he could turn it down a little. The lyrics were not in line with company policies. He gave me a dirty look, and turned the volume all the way up, flipping me the bird as he turned around and walked away. This made me just a little unhappy. I had some stereo components I was planning for my truck. I decided to go big. I had the office nest some parts to cut on our industrial laser, and over the weekend I made my boombox. I had a car stereo and amps for 6,000 watts of power. Put 3 car batteries in it and installed steel casters on the bottom. This was all done over a 4-day weekend. Come Tuesday when everyone returned to work, I wheel out my boombox. I had informed the plant manager of my intentions and he gave me permission to get my music on. I placed the boombox next to his and waited. I let him turn his on before started playing mine. Every time he would turn his up, I would give mine a little more. He was unable to even tell the type of music he was trying to play. Knowing what he hated to hear, I put a short playlist on repeat. He tried to apologize for the way he acted the week before, but was given the same response that he gave me. This boombox is loud. You could hear it outside of the building 300 feet from where it was set up. After 3 days of this, he quit and looked for another job. Don't mess with the old guys. They have years of revenge planning before you ever get started. Story 4. Fire me, have fun dealing with the FSA. This is a fresh story, it takes place within 24 hours of me posting this. Some backstory before we begin. So 3 weeks ago I left my corporate small fry job making $12/hour with tips for a cushy salaried $60K/year head chef position. The new job seemed to be going really well, I was enjoying it. The owner got some much needed time off and time to work on his reservations to the place. I knew I wasn't walking into the most well-maintained/clean environment and planned to really spruce up the kitchen. Keep in mind I was the only kitchen staff they had. The owner seemed really nice, he only had to pop in for about 30 minutes a day to see if I needed anything from the store. My co-workers were all really nice, and all the regulars gave me high praise for my food. It was honestly a dream job for me. When I was going through the interview process, I had informed my potential new employer that I had some pre-approved time off at my old job, 3 days to celebrate my 25th birthday with my husband and Mill, 3 days because my mother and her BF were coming from another state for their normal visit, and 2 days to celebrate my husband's birthday. All of which were spread throughout the month of June. First round of 3 days went by with no issue, I returned to work and had a good time. Next 3 days went by spending time with my mom. When I returned to work this last Tuesday, everything seemed fine. Yesterday I went into work, not really having any prep to do, and being a thunderstorm day it was slow. I maybe did $150 in food sales in a full 8-hour shift. I sent a text to the owner asking if he wanted me to shut down early, as was the example he sent during my first week of training. We did $300 in food sales and he shut us down an hour early for it being too slow. He responded and said no, keep the kitchen open full hours no matter what. I understood, responded that I would without issue, and went bout my night. That evening, about 10 minutes after I returned home, the owner asked me to call him. In the phone call he informed me that our relationship was not working out and we needed to part ways. I had no warnings, no talking tos, and he could give me no reasonings other than you just had 6 days off and you wanted to close early. It seems you're just not the right fit. Now, my husband, Mill, and myself were fuming, as it's kind of a shit thing to do to an employee, but due to us being in an at-will state there was nothing I could do to fight it. This morning I'm on Indeed putting out more applications and I noticed my old job was posted, but with a minor change. The new posting went from $60K/year down to $18/hour. Nearly half of what he agreed to pay me. This pissed me off. If he was just a decent human and told me that he couldn't uphold the original agreement for the salaried, I would have agreed to a pay cut. I did really enjoy this job and the people I was with. Instead he beat around the bush and refused to give me any reasonings, making me believe I had done something wrong. So now I've concocted the revenge. I only worked for him for 12 shifts total. In those 12 shifts I did some cleaning but couldn't accomplish it all as there was a lot. So this morning I went and grabbed the email for the FSA, Food Safety Administration for those who may not know, for my county, and sent them a lengthy email about my concerns for this place. As a less detailed version, it included things like flooring being a safety hazard, there are literal chunks missing allowing food to get stuck and people to get hurt. Refrigeration systems leaking and not being properly maintained. A large mold outbreak behind one of the food lines. Containers of veggies being used for pizzas that were dated as being opened mid-April, suggested use time is 7 days fresh, 14 canned. Workers dropping food and picking it up off the floor before serving said dropped food to customers. My personal fav, a bartender coming back with shakers filled with grated Parm cheese that molded, the owner telling her to pick the mold out and refill the shakers with the unmolded cheese. Plus more things that I won't include on here, but the state of the place was atrocious. I will update y'all if anything ever comes of this. I'm not sure if anything will. Either way, it's made me feel better knowing that there's a chance that there could be some backlash to an owner who has no common courtesy for their fellow workers. Edit, because people keep saying this, no, I was not okay with the conditions. Aside from the floor, it was just a lot of cleaning that I knew I would be able to get done with time. I only had 12 days to try and change anything, and that was not enough time to deep clean a kitchen, by yourself, that you can't shut down. As for the gross food violations, I threw out what foods I could, and when I noticed the bartenders doing violations, I pulled them aside and spoke to them privately after trying to replace the necessary items. One person cannot change a whole crew in a few days. Story 5. I took revenge on my employees for abusing my generosity. A bit of background information: I am in my early 40s and opened my shop about 10 years ago. I used to be one of the full-time mechanics, but now entered more of an entrepreneur role, owning more properties and businesses. I still visit the shop every Friday or randomly to help. I provide free coffee and snacks for everyone, going to Sam's Club for those bulk ship variety boxes. I buy them at the beginning of the month and leaves them in the shop. One month, by the third week, I went to grab one, but couldn't find any chips anywhere. The shop isn't big, like 4 to 5 workers, and I get like 8 boxes a month and each box have 50 bags in them. I thought it was outrageous to go through 400 bags in 3 weeks. The shop is only open 5 days a week with normal business hours. So, I called everyone together for a basic meeting, saying to mindful of how many bags they are taking. Everyone said they've been only taking 2 to 3, which the math I guess doesn't seem right, but who's bothering to count chips? Me, it seems. I let everyone go, then leaves to buys more again. Then I encountered the same issue next month. Showing off the math, and everyone says the same thing they said last month. I said that I believe someone, or people, are not being honest with me, and that I don't like that. One day it's chips and soon it could be more. I leave, and this time didn't bring back any chips. The next Friday at the end of the day I come back with chips again, which seems made everyone excited since there weren't any for a week, but I announced there would be some changes. I had also brought a couple of vending machines with me. No more free chips. No more free water bottles. If you want water, you can get it from the water fountain in the lobby or tap. No more cable. Cheaper free coffee. No more Starbucks pods. Increased temperature ranges, 68 to 76, used to be 72 all year round. Removing my personal tools from the shop. I believe every mechanic should have their own tools, and was lenient with them, basically always using my tools and even having to occasionally replace them even if I wasn't the one who lost it. Everyone was pretty stunned, and one of the mechanics even had to drag his toolbox from home to be able to work properly again in the shop. The chips/canned drinks aren't that expensive, it's like 50 cents a piece. A box of chips is like $20, so yeah, this is all over basically a few hundreds of dollars every year. I believe everyone here is getting paid fairly based where we are in the Midwest. Most of these individuals I have known for years, and the turnover is pretty low. Most of it is apprentices graduating or senior mechanic wanting more money, but there really isn't any unless you want to go management in another shop. Don't take advantage of a nice thing or it may go away. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.